to the fathers and all the men who care for us, to the grandfathers, the spiritual fathers, and the father figures, to the foster dads, the single dads, and the stepdads, to the mentors, friends, guardians, and guides, to those who loved us, taught us, and showed us the way, to those who carried us, held our hand, and watched us grow, to those who experienced blessing this year, and to those who went through loss, to the heroic men all around us, we want to say, thank you. Thank you for your courage, your kindness, and your faith in God. Thank you for shaping us, coaching us, and walking with us through life. Thank you for showing us what it looks like to love and follow Jesus. Thank you for your prayers, your wisdom, and for never giving up on us. Thank you for boldly stepping into this high and holy calling, for the long nights and the short years and the incredible joy. Whether this is a day of reflection, rejoicing, or remembering, we acknowledge you, we honor you, and we thank you today. Happy Father's Day.
Well, this morning we have a special opportunity. In just a few moments, we're going to hear from two of our very own men here at Mesa Church. But before that, how many of you would like to win a 28-inch Blackstone griddle? That's fine. I'll take it if you guys don't want it. That's all right. So I'm going to ask Pastor Brad to come on out. Can we give a hand to Pastor Brad? He's the dad with the most kids on our staff, so he needs extra prayer this morning, especially his wife. But we love you, Pastor Brad. So he's brought a hat. Oh, by the way, men, pretty cool hat that we've got for you guys this morning. And a huge shout out to Russ Campbell for helping us with these, making sure that all the men here get one of these if you haven't already before you leave. These are really rad. And then we're gonna do a drawing. How's that? All right. We got them all. We have all the tickets. Oh, all right. Very good. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Gwen. All right. I don't know if I want to be the one to draw it because you draw it. All right. What do we got here? I'll read the number. You draw it out. Oh, there's one more. There's one more. All right. Run, don't walk now. All right. You could be. Where is it? All right. Okay. All right. We're going to do the drawing, okay? Anybody? Going once? Going twice? I'm doing my very best here. We got to move. Okay, so. I think it's this one. That's the winner? No. Oh. Man, that's brutal. Too bad you won't know. Or I guess you will, that it wasn't you.
This one? This one or no?
That's the one. That's the one. All right. Let's go. Okay, so you want to read it?
Yeah, 439.
That's everybody.
3, 7, 5.
Oh, is that Steve? Oh, awesome. Get on up here, Steve. Brad will verify. We trust you. So you have to carry it out right now. I'm just kidding. Give it up for Steve one more time. Awesome. That's so good. So good. This morning, there are some things that only dads understand. In fact, there's some things that only dads do in the world. You got to be a dad to do these things. So whether you're a dad or you have a dad, here's the top 10 things that dads do that only dads understand. Top 10 things that dads do that only dads understand. First, only dads ask about a car's performance. My wife has never asked my sons, have you noticed that you've lost any horsepower lately in your car? That question never happens. Second thing that dads do that only dads understand, dads sneeze obnoxiously loud. Like wake the dead loud. The older I get, the louder my sneeze gets. There's a corollary. I don't know if it's causation, but anyway. I just want to encourage dads, when you're out in public today, just let it go, man. Let it rip. Just scared the old lady next. It's all good. There's an opportunity that all of us have as dads. And I think one of the ones that stands out the most is dads, we don't like asking for directions. And every day we have an opportunity to demonstrate our humility. And we refuse because we know a shortcut. Even though we have a GPS that will tell us exactly how to get there. The other things, number 4, top 10 things dads do that only dads understand. Testing the grill tongs by smacking them together. If you don't click the grill tongs, they don't work. I've never seen my wife just clicking the grill tongs in anticipation to flip the steak. Like, it never happens. But I always do that. It's just a rite of passage. Oh, the other things that dads do that only dads understand is they write everything in all caps. Some of the women are like, yes. Otherwise, it looks like a ransom note, for most dads. In fact, all my notes this morning are in all caps. Oh, this is the other one that dads do. And I actually, I'll tell you in a second. But the other thing that dads do that only dads understand is they have the thickest wallets. The thickest wallets. In fact, I left mine backstage because it weighs me down on that side. And it's not because of the money. It's mostly like receipts, and like old insurance cards. We could probably have a contest for the thickest wallet here this morning, but we got to move on. Next thing that dads do that only dads understand is they back into parking spaces. Some of you are like, yes! And everybody else is like, ugh. Get out of the way already. Never seen a woman back into a parking space. I'm not saying it hasn't happened, but it's just not very common, okay? But dads love to back into parking spaces. This is a good one. This is me yesterday. I was in Arizona. Dads love to comment on the gas prices in other states. $2.89. I was like, can I take more with me? The other thing that dads do that only dads understand, I don't know why we do this, but if you ever get a handful of M&Ms or popcorn, you got to shake it in your hand before you pop it in your mouth. Only dads do that. Only dads. And then finally, things dads do that only dads understand is say, ask your mom. Can we give it up for our dads this morning? Well, today I am so excited to have 2 of our very own here at Mesa Church. These 2 gentlemen are doing remarkable things in the world. And every once in a while, you get in on the beginning of something and you get to watch as something grows. And Ben Briggs and Jordan Adent started this podcast called Good Dude, Good Dad a couple of years ago. And this podcast has really affected and impacted positively a lot of men around the country and even the world. People are tuning in and listening to these episodes as they are interviewing men with real stories. So much of what men go through, they do in silence. They often suffer in silence. They find themselves not able to talk about the issues in a way that's real and relatable. And so these guys have just torn down those walls. They've brought guys onto the podcast, reputable guys onto the podcast that share about their lives. And it's been really powerful to watch that thing grow and just take off. And not only are they doing great things out there in the world, but they're a part of Mesa Church. And Ben Briggs recently stepped on to be our men's director and coach here at Mesa. And we're so excited for all the amazing things that God is doing through both Ben and Jordan. And we're going to do a little talk this morning, and I want them to come and share all the things that they're learning, the ways that God has grown them, and share a bit of their story today. Would you please welcome to the platform our friends Ben Briggs and Jordan Adent. That was the weirdest handshake I've ever received, but I love
I
it.
didn't want to drop my coffee.
That's good. That was
That's
good.
why I let you
That's
go
good.
first.
That's awesome.
I literally didn't want to drop the coffee.
No.
That was kind of the most important part.
It's all good. We're all about the awkward transitions here. It's fine. It's great to have you guys with us this morning, and I think that many of the men and the women in our church, they do know you guys. They see you guys here, and obviously Ben, with you having Hidden House in our lobby, that's such a huge blessing to us. And you've brought so much to this community of faith and to this congregation. And Jordan, as you've recently become a part of the Mesa Church family, we are so excited for that, for you and your family to be here with us.
Thank you.
It's a true honor. So let's start with sort of foundational things so we can just let people know who you guys are, because you both bring really unique backstories to this moment and to the table. And Ben, you're from the military. You served in the Marines. You got a background in entrepreneurship. Jordan, corporate leadership and overcoming a stroke, which we're going to talk about, and I want you to share about in a few minutes. But let's talk for a minute. How have your experiences that you've gone through in life shaped you up until this point?
Jordan, I'm going to let you go first. Yeah. So this will actually kind of lead into how we started Good Dude, Good Dad. I'm going to fast or rewind a little bit. I was working as a paramedic in an EMT for several years, and I absolutely loved what I did, and I was really good at it. But I was definitely living in the world. That was I was a very lukewarm Christian. Loved telling people that I still went to church, but I would show up to church on Sunday, still hungover from the night before, and was just doing all the things that I pretended like I wasn't doing. It was interesting. I was in a great position, and I was ready to get hired with some fantastic departments. And I was ready for my life to begin an upward trajectory. And I really remember God getting a hold of me and telling me, like, "Hey, you're not going to do this anymore. You should leave the fire service." And I'd put a lot of time, a lot of effort into it. My wife and I, at the time, were engaged, so I literally had to say, "Hey, like that whole thing you signed up for, being real taken care of and having financial security, I feel like we're supposed to throw all that out the window, start our own business, and I'll go work also for some banks." So ended up having some very high-stress jobs, ran some banks, did some really cool things, led some teams, and God had turned my life around. I was actually headed towards God. My relationship with God was amazing. We were heading in the right direction. I was super excited. And one day I was in my office and everything just went wrong. I felt weird. I couldn't send text messages. I felt off the whole day. Long story short, my son had just turned 1. We were 3 days away from finding out that we were having a baby girl. Well, we knew we were having a baby. We didn't know it was a girl. And I had a full-blown stroke. I got rushed to the ER. I was like 30 years old. I was like, there's no way that I'm having a stroke. It's not possible. It's not me. My world came crashing down. They were reeling me into surgery. This was during COVID, so the whole situation was crazy. But they were reeling me into surgery, and I remember handing my wife my wedding ring. And I handed my wife my wedding ring, and I said, "Hey, I love you. I've always loved you. I've always loved my son. And if I don't see you guys again, make sure that you tell him that." And they said I was pretty high risk to die of this surgery because I had 3 massive blockages. So they put me on the gurney, and my dad was a pilot growing up, so he taught me one prayer. He taught me lots of prayers, but one prayer that I really remembered, the pilot's prayer is, "Dear Lord, please help me not to mess this up." It's more colorful, but I adopted it, and I said, "Dear Lord, you got to figure this out." And that's the only prayer I said. I said, "I got a wife, I got kids, you're going to figure this out." And it's like someone put a warm blanket over me, and I immediately felt calm and cool and peaceful. And went into that surgery. Came out of the surgery, no deficits. Miracle surgery. Doctor goes, "I don't believe in God, but if I did, you would make me believe in him." And I said, "You better start believing, because that's exactly what happened. He saved my life." So fast forward a few months, they told me, "Hey, you died on the operating table. We got you back. there's still a high chance that you could become a vegetable or die. So at least that's what I remember them telling me. So I remember sitting there one day and I just started bawling. Like out of nowhere, I just started bawling and I was like, God, you saved me. I'm here and I'm alive. I had already given you my life. I had already turned in the direction that you were heading. I don't understand, what this was, but whatever you want to do it. And so, while I was still in the hospital, I was making voice notes to my son. I was on my phone, and I was, "Hey, son, this is what it's like to be a man. I love you. This is your dad." In case I were to pass away, he would have my voice to remind him of what it was like to be a dad, or to know that his dad loved him. So that turned into me making little videos for him, and that turned to God telling me very clearly. He was like, "Hey, you need to start a podcast." And I was like, "God, no, I don't want to do that. Don't want to do that. I really don't like, as much as I'm talking right now, I don't like the sound of my own voice, nor do I want to hear myself speak." He goes, "You need to start a podcast." I said, "No, you need to start a podcast." No. I was like, all right, this went on for like a month. And I was like, okay, God, I can't, because I don't even have a good name. And instantly, Good Dude, Good Dad popped into my head. And I was like, shoot, that's a pretty good name. And
That is a good name.
it was a pretty good name. So that's why it's Good Dude, Good Dad, not Good Dudes, Good Dads. So Good Dude, Good Dad, I created an absolutely just horrible logo. I mean, it was blue and white. It was just so bad. Everything was bad. It was me in my garage with an American flag behind me, just calling out men because, also we had a family friend of ours. They had 5 kids. Turns out that he had been cheating on his wife throughout the entire time that they were having children. And he was a dear friend of mine. I didn't know. And I was like, no, it's time for men to be called out. And to be held accountable and to be told that you are worth something, you're important, you're loved, but you also have to put the work in. So that happened. I was going down that road, about to give up, and Ben got a hold of me and goes, "Dude, you got to keep this going." And I go, "Dude, I can't." I was like, "You see that logo? It's horrible." And he goes, I'll help you out. And I would have never envisioned this right here. And it's all because Ben stepped in and helped give me vision and direction and take something that I had and ran with it in the best possible way. So, Ben, take it away.
Well, to follow that, sheesh. Man. One, Jordan does like listening to himself. Don't let him fool you. He definitely does.
Maybe.
His wife, Caitlin, can attest to that. But I'm totally kidding. Super thankful to be here. Jordan was just doing this thing, and the name catches you, right? Good dude, good dad. And I think for me personally, it was something like I saw him doing, and obviously we've been friends a long time, but I saw this thing he was doing, and it was just there, right? But it resonated with me because I want to be a good dude, and I clearly want to be a good dad for my kids, And so, yeah, he kept it going, and we just kind of jumped in, and we genuinely didn't think what is happening currently was going to happen, at least as fast as it's happening. But yeah, a little about me. That was just, I don't know why I said that. But a little about me. I grew up in the church, went in the Marine Corps, went on 2 combat deployments, and God used me so many different times throughout that season of my life, even when I felt like I shouldn't have been used, or I wasn't in a season where I could help others, because ultimately I couldn't even help myself, But I kind of grew up with this mentality of just suck it up and always do it, right? Just keep your mouth closed and head down and just one foot in front of the other. Just keep going, keep going, keep going. Doesn't matter how depleted you are, you keep going. And I'm not complaining about that, but what I learned very quickly was you're going to burn out. And I did burn out. And so when I got home, I was dealing with, obviously now I can say out loud, was PTSD, and I had no clue that it was PTSD, right? Because you justify. I would look at my other buddies and be like, oh no, Johnny over there, that guy's crazy, he has PTSD. Or, Keith over there, he's drinking, he's older than me, he's partying, he's hooking up with girls, he's doing drugs, he's got PTSD. And one thing I learned quickly is there's no right way I don't care who you are, what doctor you are, or any knowledge you have in this field. There's no one size fits all when someone's dealing with their own mental health. It's impossible. And what they would try to do was ask us these really dumb questions. Like when I say really dumb, I mean, do large crowds make you anxious? And I'm like, I just got back from Afghanistan. Why wouldn't a large crowd make me anxious? Or when you hear a firework, do you jump? And we would look at these doctors and be like, are you dumb? Like, are you sure you're a doctor? Like, of course a loud noise is gonna make me jump. And I used to always tell people when I came home is, if you went through the things that we went through and came home and were not fazed at all, I would genuinely think you probably have some problems. And I just hit a wall. I did a lot of bad things, hurt a lot of people, and got tired of it, and just decided one day to turn my life around. I was still going to church, similar to Jordan. We were probably both drunk at church together at some point, which is not a good thing. But I'm also very thankful that I never stopped going to church, because God's grace and God's redemption and the power that is in that, if you allow it to actually unfold in your heart, will radically change your life. And that's the only reason why I'm sitting in here today, and why I even get to say that I think I'm a good dude and a good dad. But that's kind of enough of the backstory.
Yeah, amazing. Amazing. And there's more to come on that, but we want to take just a moment and give you a little insight to this Good Dude, Good Dad podcast. And here's a clip that we want you to check out that shares some of the interviews.
I was going to say, is there a way we could kind of go over some of the common things that you see that men are lacking and needing, and not lacking, that's a bad word, that men are needing help with?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I kind of label it as 4 P's. And what I would say is the first one is pressure, right? A lot of men, like you said, Ben, we have this pressure to perform, pressure to provide, pressure to protect, so many different things. And so a lot of men are carrying this weight alone, right? That second one leads me into the second P, which is like a lack of people, right? Loneliness is probably the greatest epidemic or illness of our day and age, especially as it relates to men. And what I always say is that if it's the invisible illness, we have to remember that it's the undiagnosed kind of illnesses that are always the most dangerous and deadly. If you look at Cigna surveys and research of over 20,000 participants that have involved, I mean, large percentages, well over 50% of individuals would say that they don't feel like they have a person in their life that they can trust, that they can turn to, that they can open up to about anything. So if you can't be vulnerable, then you can't be known. And that's something that is incredibly hard. It's a harsh reality, but it's hard for men to grasp, like, hey, that is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of wisdom to be vulnerable, to ask for help. So being able to help men understand that we all need people fuel, we all need friends for the fire. The next one is phones. Like you said, there's a preoccupation, right? That we're always so preoccupied. We're always trying to do more, be more, become more, whatever it is. And I'll never forget, I have a niece who's 6 years old. Her name's Olivia, and she plays soccer, right? Sometimes going to a 4 to 6 year old soccer game can be a little tough to watch as an athlete myself, right? And I'm trying to coach and do all this stuff as an uncle. I'm the fun uncle, but I was watching some dad, and he was literally sitting there like on his phone, just head buried. And I'll never forget, his daughter was running in front of him, and she's like doing cartwheels, and she's trying just to simply get his attention until she's had enough. And she just looks at me and goes, "Can you just look at me?" And man, that like broke me, right? I'm like, dude, phones, technology, screens, whatever it is, it's really become an addiction in our day and age. And then the last one, like you mentioned, Ben, is pornography. Pornography, and I would just say vices in general. Anything that is kind of pulling us away, that we're trying to fill this God-shaped void in our lives with. When we go through pain and suffering, often what we start to do is we start to reach for something. And the problem with us is that we're not addicted to the porn, we're addicted to more, right? We need more and more and more. And what begins to happen, though, is when you find all of these different vices that are on this side of eternity or earthly, right? We can never get enough of them because they'll never actually bring the fulfillment or the satisfaction we long for. But then the other reality is that when we actually cling to the person in the hope of Jesus and what he has to offer, guess what? We can't get enough for the good thing, for the good reasons, right? We always want more of that as well. So I try to help people understand, what do you want more of, and how can we begin reaching for that very thing?
Amazing. Amazing. This is just a snippet of the conversations that are happening there. And before you think that this is just a plug for Good Dude, Good Dad podcast, certainly we want you to listen, download, share with your friends and all of that. But it's about something bigger. It's about God's mission on both of your lives. And I see it. Like there's something on both of you that's powerful. And the conversations you're having. So talk for a minute. What's the core mission behind Good Dude, Good Dad? And how do you hope it builds stronger men and families?
Before Jordan answers that, we think it's super important. I know today's Father's Day specific, but men, I'm speaking to you, young and old. It doesn't matter. If you are a man, June is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, which I might sound dumb, but I had no idea even was a thing until Dr. Zach Clinton that we just heard. But what we found to be just so real and so raw was some of the stats Jordan's going to share, and we think it's important because we as men need to understand this.
Yeah, so like he said, that was Dr. Zach Clinton. If you guys don't know him, he's the vice president of the AACC, the American Association of Christian Counselors. So his dad actually founded the American Association of Christian Counselors. He is also Dr. Clinton. They run one of the largest Christian-based counseling organizations in the world. And on this episode, he shared something that was pretty alarming in general. And I think that it's, like you said, it's Men's Mental Health Month. So it's important that as fathers, that we help stand in the gap and pray and help lead men so that these statistics do not continue to rise. So roughly 1,440 men die by suicide every single day. That equates to roughly one a minute. Yeah. Roughly 800,000 people die by suicide every year. 25% of men live with a mental illness that goes without diagnosis.
Diagnosis.
Yeah. See, I don't know why I'm up here. Diagnosis and no treatment. And then last but not least, 77% of all completed suicide are done by men. Men are also the only category that suicide rates go up with age. And we firmly believe, and this is how it kind of ties into Father's Day, that it is a lack of vision, it is a lack of counsel, it is a lack of leadership, it is a lack of camaraderie that leads to these statistics later on in life.
And the reason it's important, again, is in order to be a good dad, you have to be just a good man, right? And you can't be a good man on your own. I will debate that all day long. You have to genuinely lead with Jesus at the center of your life, because we've both done it our own way, and we were pretty stinking miserable. But these stats they're not something that I think we should take lightly. As men, we do need to find these spaces, and it's one of the reasons why I'm really excited to jump into the men's ministry. And guys, one of the things we're learning the most, and it goes with the podcast objectives and our goals, is learning to be vulnerable. And what does that mean? What is vulnerability? Each person has a different definition of vulnerability. But what we're seeing in this space with men specific is we're conditioned and we're taught that we're not allowed to have these conversations right here. We're not allowed to show and share with all of you looking at us right now that I don't have it figured out, that I need help, that if I didn't have an amazing wife supporting me all steps every day, I wouldn't be sitting here like confidently. If we didn't have these things, we wouldn't have the ability to genuinely actually pour into each other.
It's good. It's a little off script, but
Yeah.
it goes with where we're at. To the men that are sitting out there that feel isolated or alone in that battle, I think one of the things that a lot of men, that would be helpful for them to realize is actually there are weapons to fight this war, and they may not be accessing them. Things like community, prayer, worship, and not just the singing part of worship, but like this worship, corporate worship. Can you draw some parallels between not just the spiritual disciplines like prayer, and it is that, but just how can men access that? Because I think if the men here knew, like, actually, I can win. I can win forever this battle, and I don't have to live in isolation and alone and defeated. What would you say to that?
Yeah, this was actually, I had this down the road because you sent us the questions, and I literally looked at 2 questions, really. I'm sorry. That's just how I flow. If I think too much, it's going to get jumbled. But you later on, you'll probably ask us, what's one actionable step that men can be taking? And then this morning, I was actually praying. I was up praying, spending my time with God. And he reminded me of this statistic that I heard, that what effect does reading the Bible have on someone? What effect does it have on someone? So they said that if someone reads their Bible 1 to 2 times a week, 1 to 2 times a week, it has little to no effect at all. You don't see any change. If you hit the threshold of 3 days a week, they said that you'll see slight change in a person. If someone reads 4 days a week or more, this is where everything goes crazy. You are 228% more likely to share your faith. You are 407% more likely to memorize scripture. You are 59% less likely to view pornography. 59%, guys. Right now, I think the statistic is, it was 6 or 7 out of 10 men and young women in the church struggle with pornography addictions. Young women too. And their rate is growing faster than men's. And at least 30% less likely, and this is where it comes back to your question, to struggle with loneliness, depression, and anxiety. So if you want to fix loneliness, depression, and anxiety, what do? You press into God. You press into the Word. You read your Bible. That's how you combat isolation. And then you get plugged into a church like this. That's why me and my wife, I told Keith on yesterday is when we officially announced that this is going to be our home church, because this is thank you. I haven't seen community like this. And I'm not going to knock the previous church we went to. We went to high school and grew up with 90% of those people. And I've never felt more alone in a church than I was at my previous church. And as you can see, I'm a very hard person to talk to. So, but yeah, read your Bible. Get to know your God. Get to have an intimate relationship with him, and see if that doesn't cure your loneliness and anxiety and depression.
Ben, I'll go to you now. Let's go back. Transitioning for you from Marine life into civilian life, marriage, kids. What was the hardest adjustments that you had to make, and what helped you to learn how to lead with love in the home?
I love this question because, if I'm being honest, I think I'm still learning that every single day. And I can say that because I know my worth, and I know the example that I have to follow, and that's obviously Jesus. But for me, the hardest thing was understanding, I know it sounds simple, and I guarantee almost every person, I'm just speaking to men again, sorry, but I feel like every one of us have dealt at some point in our life with defeat and just this utter disappointment with yourself and not being able to handle things, right? Or that you're no longer mentally strong enough, or that you're no longer tough enough, or that you're no longer man enough. And I think what I had to learn was that I am not man enough, and I am not tough enough. I am not spiritually strong enough. I'm not mentally strong enough on my own. And the second that I chose to really dig in and let God take the actual center of my life and let him lead through me, is the second thing started to make sense to me. And the reason why I say I'm still learning it every single day is because there ain't no way that, I'm going to be perfect. I'm going to mess up. And, some people know this, like in our small group and stuff, but Devin and I actually ended up breaking up towards the beginning of I think maybe like a year in, because we each had our own issues. But for me specifically, I was still learning how to be okay with not being right or not being strong enough or having everything figured out. You know, I had this image in my head that as a man, I had to be able to figure all these things out. I shouldn't have to ask for help. I shouldn't have to be able to go to my wife and be like, hey, you know, sorry, I don't know how we're going to eat tonight because we got no money. You know, these different things, I just had to learn how to let go and let God take over.
Powerful. Jordan, after your stroke in 2021, how did that moment reshape your priorities as a husband and father? And you talked about it a little bit, but share a little bit more about how that moment really changed your trajectory.
Yeah, it reshaped my priorities, like you said. You know, if you can even ask Ben, because we work together too. I put a very high value and priority of time with my family above everything else and anything else. I don't have it perfect. Everyone thinks, and this is my big thing, is after the stroke, and when you survive something, everybody thinks that you live life with these rose-colored glasses, that life's just amazing all the time, and you don't get frustrated, and you're just so zen, and that is not the case at all. I lost my temper at my son this morning. You know, you can ask him. He's in the kids' room. It's prioritizing my family, and I just the little moments that I have where I get to stop and look at my family and go, man, I'm so blessed to be here. Like Father's Day is a big one. On the way here, I was just praying for our family, praying for this service with all my kids and my wife in the car, and I almost lost it. I was like, Lord, thank you for saving my life. Thank you that I'm here, and you saved me in more than ways than one. It's a privilege to be a dad. It's a privilege to be a husband. It really is. So don't take it for granted. Any second can be your last second. I know that sounds cheesy, but it's true. Any second can be your last second. So enjoy every moment of it.
Wow, that's so powerful. And as I look out here this morning, I know that there are those who faced similar circumstances to yours. And by the grace of God and miracle, they pulled through, and they're here this morning. And oftentimes it takes something like that to be a wake-up call for us. But maybe this morning there are men in the room that are experiencing that wake-up call. You know, a smart man can learn from their own mistakes, but a wise man learns from the mistakes of others. Mm-hmm. And I think that, you know, as you listen to this, you don't have to go that hard road. You don't have to pay that price. Some of us are stubborn like me, and it sounds like you guys too, that we just do. But that's okay as well. If you're here and that's where you're at, God will meet you where you're at. And I think that's what I love about both of your stories, is God met you where you were at. Yeah. And I would rather people come to church struggling than not at all. And I want you to hear me say that. And tell your children that too, by the way. Parents, bring them. If they're far from God, I'm just going to say, if they have the smell of alcohol in their breath, it doesn't matter. We want them here, because when they're here, they're loved and they're home. And so no matter what your struggle is, when you're here, you're home. And you come for prayer, and you let people love you, and you keep walking that road, and you find a small circle of guys who can get around you and help you. All right, I'm preaching.
No, there's a big misconception. There's a big misconception that they're going to walk through the door and God's going to smite them. But more often than not, they're going to walk through the door and encounter God's love. More often than not. And that's life-changing.
Yeah, so good. You both are trained as leaders under John Maxwell. And I think that's a really powerful thing, because one of the best world leaders, global leaders in our generation. What spiritual leadership principle have you learned from that training that has most influenced your approach to parenting?
You want me to take this one? Yeah, okay, I'll go first.
You go first. That's fine.
That's tough. Honestly, I don't want to sound churchy and Christianese too much, but it's just true. Like, you can't help but feel this, is when you look at what Jesus did for us on that cross and the amount of love that took. Like, as a father, I remember looking at my daughter and holding her for the first time and just not understanding how I can love this little thing that I've never even met so much. And understanding that when you follow that example and you have that much love in your heart, it's going to radically just change the way I choose to do things. And so for me, it was the example of Jesus dying on the cross that really just radically changed the way I decided I wanted to parent. And through that love comes everything, right? Through that love comes the intentionality. Jordan and I talk a lot on the podcast about being intentional with your time, like purely intentional. And in that clip, I got a little choked up because literally like a day or two before that, my daughter told my wife and some of our friends on a FaceTime when I wasn't around that, oh, Dad's probably just on his phone right now. And then he says that, and I was like, oh, man, that's so cool. I'm about to cry my eyes out on this podcast. But the intentionality behind being present and being fully present, it's something I'm constantly working at every day. But through that love is how I'm understanding that my kids value my time and my presence with them right now in this season more than anything else I could ever give them.
That's so good.
I mean, yeah, I'll answer that one. It's a leadership, and I think it dips into spiritual. John talks about this great story that he asked his assistant. He's like, "Hey, if you want to, can you write down my 10 biggest flaws?" He's like, "I'll give you to the end of the week so that you can write them down, and then you can bring them to me." And she goes, "Well, I mean, I can give them to you right now if you have a piece of paper." and he was flabbergasted, And if you've ever heard John tell a story, it's awesome. And he goes, don't pretend that people don't know what your flaws are. Don't pretend that people don't know what your weaknesses are. And I think that it plays into parenting and husbandry and in all of it, in leadership. It's that stop trying to hide your flaws. Admit when you're wrong. Admit when you don't know something. Admit when you mess up with your kids, because they're going to find out down the road that you don't know what you're doing either. That was the biggest realization for me. I was in my 30s and I had my kids, and I was looking, I was like, my dad was faking it this whole time. And my dad's my hero, and he did a great job. But stop pretending like you know what you're doing, and just let God handle it, and let other people come alongside you and uplift you and fill the cracks where you're not good,
So good. Both of you guys in your podcasts and other interviews, you talk about surviving for a reason, and both of you guys are survivors in different ways. I think that's such a powerful thing, surviving for a reason. How would you encourage guys to combat discouragement or burnout if they're at that place in their life, right? They feel like they're hanging on by a thread, and they don't know if they're going to survive this season of life. What would you say?
Jordan, let's tag team this. But we recently did a podcast, like maybe a couple months ago, and Jordan, I'm sure you won't care, obviously, it was on a podcast, but he was talking about just how sometimes there feels like there's no scale, like the work-life balance, right? To speak to fatigue and burning out. I literally texted Devin yesterday while she was in here at VBS training, and I can admit this. Years ago, I wouldn't have been able to sit up here and admit this to you guys. I texted her and I was like, I'm just feeling so drained right now. And like mentally and spiritually and physically, I'm just drained. I don't know why, I don't know what, but yesterday was just one of those days where I was like, I got like no gas in the tank, but I have to act like I got gas in the tank for so many different reasons and so many different people. And I'm not saying that to have like a pity party for myself. I'm saying that because I'm understanding as I'm growing older and maturing in my faith that these are those seasons where God's like, hey man, I got you, and ironically today is Father's Day, and I feel like yesterday didn't even exist, and all I did throughout that day was just try to be present with the kids and tried to just remember like, hey, God, like I need some help right now, man. Like, can you do that real quick, please? No coffee's helping me, so please just help out. But we were talking about just work-life balance and how sometimes there feels like there's no actual balance. And Jordan was saying, he feels like he's got these big rocks over here, these small ones over here, but the scale's not balancing. And as he was saying that, it kind of hit me of, well, that is still balance. It's how we decide to take those big rocks in our life and place them on that scale. So sometimes we might feel like we're drowning in one area, but maybe the scale's tipped in the other. Maybe work feels awful, but maybe being a father and what I'm capable of doing with my kids right now is so phenomenal that it is making my work like struggle. but I'm okay with that. And I think the difference is, and what we said is you have to figure out for yourself what that balance is and what matters to you.
Yeah, for a hot second, I thought you were going to say I was right, and I was about to lose it. So I'm like, what? Someone got this video recorded, right? No, he's right. There's lots of times where you feel just completely out of balance, and it's like I can feel like I'm walking in God's calling, and then feel like I'm drowning at the same time. More often than not, that's actually usually how it feels. But the beautiful part of that moment is where you learn to trust in God, right? Because that's the spot he works in the most, is when you can't handle something, is when you fully give it to him and you stop trying to hold on to the little things that are trying to keep you afloat. And you just say, hey, I took my eyes off of you, or I'm trying to hold on to something that I shouldn't be holding on to. And that's when he's then able to help lift you up. Does it suck? Yeah, it still sucks. Let's not put lipstick on a pig. It's still gonna suck sometimes. But remember, everything ends at some point. So give it one more day. That's literally, there's a great Navy SEAL quote where they're talking about getting through their Hell Week. They're like, just make it to breakfast, and then from breakfast make it to lunch, then from lunch make it to dinner, from dinner make it to bed, from bed go to sleep and try to do it the next morning, make it to breakfast again. So just take it bite-sized chunks and keep your eyes on Jesus.
So good. Define legacy in your kids, and what's one value that you hope will linger in them long after they have grown up?
I love Dr. Zach Clinton told us on his that Pastor Tim Timberlake said that legacy is not something you leave for someone; it's something you leave in someone. And we are called. Let me make this clear. We are called to leave for our generations, but that's not your legacy. That's an inheritance. Your legacy is the things that you instill in your kids, and the way that they love people and they treat people and they treat others and they impact the world after you're gone. Mm-hmm. That's the only thing that legacy is to me. I can die poor and everyone can forget me the next day. If my values and my love of people and my love of my kids remains, that's the legacy.
Yeah. For me, I was going to say it's very similar. What I want my kids to get from me is I want them to understand, and what I want people to say of me would simply be, he was who he says he is in all aspects and in all places and at all times. I want my kids to know their dad was who he said he was, for good and for bad. But I want them to know that I was real, that I was not hiding behind a curtain. Like, my flaws are present, my strengths are present, but who I say I am is who I am.
So good. As you look at the men in this room today, what single message from your podcast or otherwise would you want to say is most needed in our community here?
Honestly, be willing to take that look at yourself, like a real look, not this half-hearted, half-ways look. Like, take a deep look at who you are, what you represent, what you say you represent, how your actions are being conducted at work, at home, in the car by yourself, wherever you are at. Take a look at yourself. And if you're saying you're one thing and you're acting completely different, I would say that would be my first encouragement to you, is take that first step to actually walking into the light.
Yeah, I'm just going to reiterate it. Yeah, at the end of your life, you're going to get up to heaven, and God's going to show you the version of the man that you could have been and the version that you ended up being. And all I want is that to be a mirror. So live your life as if you're competing with that man, the man that God sees you as, and act like that inside and outside. Like the same person you are on Sunday, you better be on Monday morning, because Monday morning stinks and Wednesday stinks, but be that same man.
Couple more quick questions as we find our landing. How can our church support fathers in building deeper connection with God, their kids, and their wives? And I think this question is so important as we are, for the last couple of years, Mesa men have been meeting on Saturdays, and there was a great team of men who just pulled together and said, we want to do this for our guys. And they started doing it and serving breakfast and just going the extra mile, and it's been amazing. And then you stepping into this role, Ben, and Jordan, you coming to be a part of the church family. I think there's something really special, and we want to lean into our dads. We want to lean into our men in this season especially, and talk a little bit about how we can support fathers in building that deeper connection.
Yeah.
What do you see?
First of all, again, like Pastor Keith just said, to the gentlemen that we're keeping that thing going, man, without you guys, the men's ministry wouldn't even be here. And that's something that I recognize very much. And I know the things I'm good at, and I know the things I'm not. And so many of you men have stepped up in so many different ways in places that I know I'm not good at. And so my hope and my dream for that would that we continue that, and that you continue staying in those roles, and that we continue to build the leaders to help us continue to grow it. But I think the best thing that we can do for men of Mesa is to honestly just show up for each other, to show up to these men's events. Like, they're sometimes difficult to get to. It's a Saturday morning. I understand that. I have 3 kids, and I work a lot. I get it. He works a lot. You work a lot. We all work a lot. I get it. But just show up. Like, if you want to help us build something that's so different and so powerful that men from all over Orange County are talking about, that they cannot wait to show up to that men's breakfast, then show up. Be a part of it. Have a heart posture of being able to receive and to be vulnerable. Don't go in with this connotation in your head of oh man, I'm just here because I'm going through the motions. If you are, I'm still glad you're here. But don't be afraid to actually reach out and talk to somebody. And if anyone gives you a hard time about it, come find me. I would love to talk to that person. But
or put them in a headlock. Yeah.
But in all seriousness, I think one of the best things we can do too, and I hope you're okay with it, is I would love for Pastor Brad, and if he wants the band to come back out. And I would love, if you were a man in this room and you would love prayer for whatever it is, I would love for you to be able to come up. And if you are in a spiritual place where you would love to pray for other men, you can come up on the stage with us. I hope it's okay that we're doing this, but I think that's the biggest thing we can do, is men showing up, pouring out for other men like Jordan just said, but displaying what God has for us in a place that should be the one place you feel so comfortable standing up and receiving prayer. I think that's the best gift we can give, is praying for each other.
Absolutely. Let's do that now. Let's all stand. And all across this room, we're going to take just a few moments and ask you guys can stay here and hang, because we're going to pray with men. If you're here this morning and maybe you're a teenager, maybe you're a young adult, maybe you're middle-aged, you've raised kids, you've got grandkids or even great-grandkids, but you find yourself in a place of isolation or struggle. And maybe you're here in church every single week and you're actually focused on Jesus, but there's just some stuff going on right now. Maybe it's things at home, things in your health, things with your kids beyond your control, and you just feel, I need prayer this morning. I need somebody to stand with me, and I need to know that I'm not alone. Would you just, as Brad begins to lead us in this chorus, would you just step out from your seat? This is an opportunity to be men, to lead the way, to show the way, and to go first. And without embarrassment or feeling like somebody's watching me or looking at me, no, I'm just coming because I want to be vulnerable this morning and say, I can't do this on my own. And you don't have to. Jesus is here this morning and he wants to meet you right where you're at. So I'm going to ask any elders, current or past, that are actually here, would you just come and as they come as well, because they're going to help us pray. If you need prayer for anything this morning, men, I want you to get out of your seats right now. Come on. And just come and receive prayer. Who needs prayer this morning? Don't be ashamed. Don't be afraid. Come and receive. Come and receive. The Lord is with you.
Jesus, we are in your presence, Lord. I want to pray for every single person represented in this room right now, Lord. I pray your anointing over their lives. I pray that you just have this overwhelming sense of just presence and peace and joy and comfort and strength. God, I pray right now specifically for these men as they've stepped forward, and even if they haven't stepped forward and they know they need prayer, God, right now I pray for whatever it is that you captivate them right now, that you show them that you're real and that you have something to offer that nobody else in this world can offer you. God, I pray right now across this room for every single man here, the spheres of influence that are represented here. I pray right now, Jesus, that you use them. You just help them constantly step forward. When they feel like they've had enough, help them to step further. Help them to just feel this overwhelming presence that only can be described by the love of Jesus and the Holy Spirit just pouring into every single person here. I truly believe right now, Lord, that you are present and that you have your hand on every single person here. I pray for Pastor Keith as he's leading this church right now, Lord. I pray that you continuously give him strength. I pray that you fight the enemy with the utmost power that you have. And God, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for just giving us this place to enter your presence. We love you, Lord. We love you.
This morning, if you are not walking with the Lord, it's pretty binary. We are either with or without God in our lives. So if you're without God right now, like you've blocked him out, you've pushed him aside, and this isn't just for men, this is for everyone. The miracle of Christianity is that God is with us. God sent his only son, Jesus, so that he could be with us and we could be with him. I'm going to invite you to bow one more time, and all across this room, if you say, I've been without God, but I want to be with God from this moment forward in my life. I want to surrender my life to him, and I want that relationship with God that Ben and Jordan were talking about. I don't want to leave this place the same way I came in. God loves you right where you're at, but he doesn't want to leave you that way. And if you want to be with God today, and you want to surrender your life to Jesus, on the count of 3, with heads bowed, eyes closed, I'm going to ask you to raise your hand. And by raising your hand, you say, I want to pray this morning. I want to receive Christ into my life. If that's you in this room, 1, you're ready to give your life to him and to be with God today and forever. 2, if that's you, 3, raise it right now. Yeah. I'm going to invite everyone that's raised a hand, and even those that have not, to say this prayer with me today, this prayer that will put us in relationship with the Lord, that will surrender where we're at to his purpose and to his plan. I want to invite you all across this congregation, if you would pray these words out loud with me. Say, Dear Jesus, thank you for speaking to me today. Thank you, Jesus, for not leaving me alone. God, I admit I need you in my life. More today than ever before, I need you. So I ask you to come into my heart, to come into my life. Forgive me of my sins. Cleanse me and make me new. From this moment on, I am yours and you are mine. Come live your life in me and through me, and help me to follow you all the days of my life. In Jesus' name, amen. Can we give the Lord a hand of praise? Wow. You guys come up here. Jordan and Ben, I want to invite you guys to come. Just remain where you are for just a moment. These guys, wow. What an incredible moment. Thank you so much for sharing your hearts. Thank you. Thank you for your example of vulnerability before these men. It takes courage to do what you guys did and to lead the way that you do. And I'm so proud to be a part of your journey, and I'm thrilled to run the race together. And that's what we're doing, men. We're running a race. Don't do it alone. You've got partners that will lock arms with you and help you cross the finish line. And last thing,
I just want them to say just a final word. What is a good dude? What is a good dad?
Yeah. This works. All right. First of all, I want to say if you're a man up here and you want prayer after he dismisses everyone, I want to make sure that you get that prayer. So we'll stay up here. Or at least I think Ben will stay up here with me. Yeah. We'll stay up here to make sure that you all receive prayer, whoever wants it. So as they leave, if you still want prayer, I don't want you to leave feeling like this was all talk and you're alone. Because that's actually what a good dude, good dad is. It's a man that shows up. It shows up when he says he's going to show up. And he does what he says he's going to do. And he stands on top of that. And he stands on top of his faith and what he represents and what he says he represents. And he's willing to sacrifice when that means sacrifice. And he's willing to defer the glory to God. So that's what makes a good dude, good dad.
That's good. Home run. Home run, Jordan. It's awesome. Let's give the Lord a hand of praise.